Hey, Service Advisor Nation, what's happening? Thank you for tuning into another episode of the AutoFix-Auto with your host, Michael Doherty. Kind of getting right into it. I really hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's healthy and hope everybody's working together to make clients happy because that's what it's about, right? Building and maintaining client relationships. I saw it was actually on Reddit. I'm not a big Reddit fan, just kind of stumbled across it. And I thought it was kind of funny, to be honest. A technician on Reddit not too long ago made a comment that said, finding a good service advisor is like finding a Skittle-Pooping unicorn. And I just thought that was freaking hilarious, right? So again, a technician said on Reddit, finding a good service advisor is like finding a Skittle-Pooping unicorn, which means they're rare. So it kind of got me thinking, how do we as service advisors, how can we all aspire, right, to be that mythical Skittle-Pooping unicorn, right? So I think there's different levels of service advisors, but I think we're all have a lot of common goals. And one of the things I want to talk about today was, it kind of was really important to talk about is, preparing, for the day, right? So I've heard the phrase before, like if you show up on time, you're late, right? And I hope for a lot of service advisors out there that you're not showing up just on time to get the day started because there's so much that goes into your day. There's so much planning and whatnot. So I wanted to ask about, for the service advisors out there, obviously, what does your day look like? Are you getting to your job a half hour early, 15 minutes early, just on time? How's that working out for you? There's so much that goes into planning the day. And I know I truly do. I can say that because I've been in the hot seat before as a service advisor. I understand, you plan the day out and it just crumbles. So nothing goes to plan. However, I still think it's really important to get there. I'm not going to mention what time I used to get to work. People say, "Oh, that's ridiculous." Well, you're not me. You're not doing what I'm doing. You're not putting the effort in, right? And I'm not saying that disrespectfully, right? It's kind of like football players, they talk about, they watch film after the game, they study tape, they see what they could have did better. I'm constantly my own worst enemy. I'm I'm overthinking, wondering how trying to get better every day at what I did as a service advisor. How can I improve things? But a lot of it's just really simplistic, and it comes down to planning. So, I would recommend getting there at least a half hour early, maybe a little bit more, but at least a half hour early before you open, and try to find an area where you're not going to get disrupted. And obviously, if you get there early, before the shop opens, that shouldn't be a big issue. But grab a pen and a paper and write down 5 tasks, 5 goals that you want to accomplish that day, right? Whether it's, you want to make sure this car gets out of the shop today. Maybe you're getting jerked around on parts from the dealer, right? Not Worldpack. And, you're just kind of getting the run around. You need to define how you're going to get that solved and get something moving forward with, parts, etc. But again, make a list of your top 5 and really try and, knock that list down during the day. I saw a quote not too long ago. It said, if you talk about it, it's a dream. If you envision it, it's possible. If you make time for it, it's real. And that is very factual. So again, if you talk about it, it's a dream. If you envision it, it's possible. If you make time for it, it's real. So again, that goes directly towards, right, writing your goals down for the day of at least 5 things that you want to accomplish that day. And as you do them, as you make progress and get those goals accomplished, check them off the list, right? It's rewarding. It really is, because you can tell yourself, yeah, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z today. But let's be honest, the phone's ringing, emails are coming in, customers are walking in, technicians, there's just so much going on, right? And making that list and literally checking it off that you got a task done and a goal accomplished for the day, I think is huge, right? We got to take those small victories, right? And big victories. So, again, in the effort of continuous improvement, I think that is really important to, write down objectives for the day and get them accomplished as much as you can with everything, going on, right? I mean, it's goal setting. It's not made to be easy, but if you can get it done and check it off, I just think it's really rewarding. Speaking of rewarding, I want to ask how many service advisors out there having the morning meeting, being in the morning meeting, are you bringing that positive feedback that you've got from a client the previous day or maybe the previous week? They left, they had a great experience, and then they put a 5-star smoking awesome review on Google for you guys, right? And again, it's a team effort. It's not just the service advisors; it's everybody that was involved in the shop as a whole that made that experience for the client. And yes, I understand that these service advisors are kind of the face of the business, and you're likely checking them out and asking for a review and how their service was, etc. But again, it really is a team effort, right? So it's never the front. It's never the front and the back, right? I mean, that's nonsense. It's a team effort. So when you're having that morning meeting, are you bringing up those positive reviews that you've gotten to the technicians that worked on the cars? If you're not, I think you need to. It's really important that they hear what these people have to say, especially if it's a positive, positive or negative. Don't be afraid if it's negative, but again, have a discussion about it, have a conversation. If it's negative, not an argument. And I probably would say the negative ones, if you do get those, wouldn't do that in a group setting. Maybe pull a technician aside and say, hey, can you check this out? Tell me what your thoughts are. Again, have a conversation about it, right? No finger pointing. You guys got to figure out a solution together. But the positive ones, especially, I mean, just it shows team unity, right? It shows recognition in a group setting, which is great. I currently work at a company where I get to do marketing for independent automotive shops. And the team that I work with is really great. They're super focused on taking care of the client, but we have an inner message board. People are constantly, hey, thanks for this, thanks for that. Just all around the team, it's just a very positive environment, and that's important. So again, promoting that really early in the morning, right? Kind of kickstarting the day, if you would, with just, some positive feedback that the technicians can hear as well about the cars that they worked on, right? So, and every once in a while, I'm sure you could talk to whoever's in charge of the marketing budget. Hey, can we take $100 this month and break it up and maybe do some gas cards, maybe do some Starbucks gift cards, maybe tool credit, something. I know $100 on a tool isn't much, but again, depends on what your marketing budget is, things you can write off. But you know, say that positive review to that technician and hand them, a gas card, hand them a card, a gift card for a coffee, hand them, a tool credit for the tool truck that's definitely going to show up on your lot. And when it shows up on your lot, all the technicians like kind of scurry out of the shop and let's be honest, they're going to be gone for 20, 30 minutes. So, but, it gets them excited, right, to go on that tool truck. So, whatever. But again, team unity, having those morning meetings and sharing positive things that happen in the shop that also directly involve the technicians, right? I think it's really important. One thing too, I thought about, as a service advisor, and not all service advisors do it. I think I got more in the swing of it as time went on, more of a comfortability level. But, you know, as far as being a team player, being out in the shop, bringing the technicians parts, so that they don't have to look for them if they're in the middle of working on a job. They don't have to stop, go wash their hands, go look for parts, etc. I mean, yeah, let's help, right? Let's get our hands dirty once in a while. It's not a bad thing to do. It's okay to get some shop on your hands. It happens. And trust me, I'm sure you guys have cleaners and degreasers in the shop that'll take that shop off your hands, right? So, help out around the shop, if time allows. I used to devote probably 20 minutes. I'd say 20 minutes every couple of days. I'd be back there pushing a broom, sweeping up around technicians' bays, kind of picking up trash, if you would, things that could be Not so great with customers' vehicles that, everybody doesn't see. Maybe a razor blade laying on the floor, a chemical spill, something. But again, I mean, rolling tires down to the tire machine, like if tires show up from UPS or FedEx and you know that the vehicle is going to be in that day for Mr. or Mrs. Jones, I mean, help, right? That's what it's all about. It's about efficiency. It's about help. It's about team unity. I mean, I think them seeing you in the shop, the technicians helping out doing some of that stuff. And I know a lot of service advisors are going to say, I don't have downtime to do that. No, but I'm sure you're back in the shop probably at least twice every half an hour, if not. I mean, again, if you can help out, make it more efficient, then do that, right? I think that's really important. So, again, just trying to be better, right? How do we up our game? How do we show more team cohesiveness, more unity? And, I mean, back to, again, that comment that I read on Reddit from a technician that said that finding a good service advisor is like finding a Skittle-Pooping unicorn. What I got out of that was, especially from my standpoint, you got to put the time in, you got to put the effort in. I mean, the job I do now, we work on Central Time, so my day starts probably around 9:15 Eastern Time, technically, and we work until about 4:35 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you know, I'm engaged before that time. I'm engaged after that time. I clock out technically, and then go have dinner with my family, spend some time with them, and then probably around 7:45 at night, come back up, and I work for about another hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, because I want to get better at what I do. And you can't cheat the grind. You got to put the time in. You got to put the effort in. There's no way around it. I mean, just during business hours is what's expected, but if you want to set personal goals for yourself as a service advisor, as a technician, you know, do things different, right? You got to set that standard. Some of it's discipline, some of it's go getter attitude, but I mean, yeah, I wanted to be that service advisor that was like the Skittle pooping unicorn. And to be honest with you, I'm not bragging, I'm not being boastful. I'm very humble. I got there. I got there. I did, but it was through, doing more than the minimum. And I'm not saying all the service advisors are doing the minimum, but there's definitely some, self rewards involved in doing that, in that process, in doing the early mornings, the late nights, the weekends. Put the time in and you will be surprised of where your career goes. Really. I promise you that, but be humble with it, right? Have your piece of humble pie. Don't be braggadocious when you get there, when you turn into that skittle pooping unicorn. But it's rewarding. You will get there, I promise. If you're not there already, and if you are, congratulations. Seriously, I mean, you can't cheat the grind. You got to put the time in, you got to put the effort in, as with anything. But Service Advisor Nation, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for allowing me to come into your lives and talk about these different things every week. It's really cool. And I thank my sponsors, WorldPack and AutoFix, Auto Shop Coaching. Thank you so much, both you guys, for allowing me to do this. And yeah, I wish you guys a great rest of the week, upcoming weekend. And weather's getting nice out, kind of all around. I hope everybody's got some spring, summer activities planned, whatever you're going to do to make yourself happy. But, again, just, you know, put the effort in, put the time in, and more unity, more positive vibes at the shop, more group recognition, right? More cohesion. I know you can do it. Make it happen. All right. Have a good night. See you guys.